Hello and welcome to another episode of the Outdoor Gibbon podcast. Spring is officially here, it says. The clocks have rolled forward. We now have that extra hour of daylight. It's going to make all the difference for when we start going out and stalking those roebucks. What have we got coming up? Well, the stalking show is literally 2 weeks away. I think everybody's getting quite geared up to it. Lots of good show deals, I think, this year by the look of it. Social media is full of people advertising what they're going to be offering on those days at the stalking show. So I thought it was fitting that we should talk to somebody who is making waves within the clothing industry. So I got a chance to sit down, it's back in January, with Oliver Massey Birch, and we talk all about Fortis. Now, for people that don't know, Fortis is a clothing brand that's out there, and they make some absolutely fantastic clothing. But Ollie will tell us more about that later on. Anyway, what's happening? Where are we in the year? The pheasants have started laying eggs already. That only can mean one thing. The hatcheries are all gearing up, ready for the start of the season. I know because I've just been fixing our local hatchery and sorting out his incubators and hatches and water supplies and giving everything a service. There's already trays of eggs ready to go. I think set-in won't be far away. It only feels like yesterday that we were clearing the field and ready for shoot day, and already we're back round to the start of it. And eggs, and soon there'll be chicks, and that's it. I know we're doing hatching a few chicks in the house for Easter for the kids, so another fun activity coming up. Watch this space. And then we'll be on to the roebucks. At the moment, we are starting to see a few good bucks looking clean. Most are still in velvet, but there's no rush. We've got plenty of time. I know I've got guests booked in already for end of April and May time. We've even got one of our competition winners coming over from Ireland to come stalking with us. That also then leads me on to the next point. If you are going to the stalking show, remember to come and see me and sign up for that competition. As I say, the prizes are fantastic. We will have a lot of stuff going on. We've also got our hoodies now available. We've done a pre-order, and we will have a few at the stalking show that can be purchased. And if you are interested in buying a hoodie, drop us a message and get in touch. We've also got mugs, stickers, and the beanies. So all of that will be with me at the stalking show. And if you do want something or see it, drop us an email and we'll get something sorted out for you. I'm going to stop waffling now and let's get started with the recording with Ollie. The Outdoor Gibbon podcast is proudly sponsored by the Shooting and Hunting Academy, an online training platform and UK registered learning provider that provides a host of accredited and nationally available courses and masterclasses delivered by leading industry experts. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Outdoor Gibbon. Today we are joined by the owner of Fortis. Welcome along, Ollie.
Hey, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So let's start right at the beginning, kind of. So if anybody listening, Fortis is obviously a clothing brand, but how did it come about? Obviously.
Yeah, well, that's the story, isn't it? There's so we have quite a unique story. We go to a lot of shows and our stories here and there, but long story short, shall we say, my father started a company called Country Covers that went great guns doing seat covers and tire covers and things like that. He's a farmer by trade, but then saw a really good opportunity for a good waterproof coat. He had some great coats in his time, but then they start to fail him. And you know what farmers like. They will get the job done. So he went and got the job done and said, I can sell these coats. I know how to do this. And he built our lamb barn into a factory.
Okay.
It's where I grew up, with the lambs and horses and stuff like this, and where we kept hay, is now a factory and a shop. I took over from Dad when he sadly passed away in 2016.
Right.
I was already involved with the company with Dad, and I was having a great time with him. And I did tell him that I was going to change the name because I hated the name. So anyone that is listening and love that name, be under no illusion I thought it was rubbish. But and he knew that, so I'm not telling him that he's not when he's not here to defend himself. So I changed it to Fortis, trademarked it, and protected that name, which is Latin for strong. And I thought that kind of embodied our ethos. The direction in which I wanted to go as a company is all in strength, and the garments themselves being strong.
Absolutely.
So then, 2016, I took over. And from there, we kind of grew, built a shop, and we built a team. And we've totally changed the way that Dad was doing it in terms of the many industries now sell to and who we make for, and we're making it on a bigger scale.
Okay. So you've obviously, you've basically come in the fresh blood and taken on the legacy and changed it to grow it forward. But you're everywhere now, and everybody talks about Fortis. But tell us what's special about the brand Fortis.
Okay. Well, okay. I hope everyone talks in a good way. I hope. But, we do a lot of shows, and the thing is, one thing I know is that nothing is easy in this game, and unless you're getting in front of people and putting your money where your mouth is and getting in front of them and telling them and showing them and then practicing what you preach with the garments, they're not going to really believe you. I mean, yeah, fine, we're in a modern age of internet, but there's nothing like putting on the coat, talking to someone there and saying, will this do what I want it to do? And you'll be able to sell the particular garment or product that suits that person's needs, rather than just sell. We'll be able to kind of fit and match that person for the need they want. What's special about us? We are purely British. We are as British gets. I want to be that heritage brand that Barber was. The 1970s Barber model.
Okay. Yeah.
Is stunning. Like the hardy, good coat that is going to be reliable in the most miserable of weather, but you're also going to have it for years. You can get it, sorted if you need to. Send it back to Devon, and we will get it fixed for you.
I was going to say, if we'd recorded this podcast, 15, 20 years ago, we could have said that everybody opens their wardrobe and there will be a wax jacket in it. And it's just one of those things.
One thing, though, I will say, and anyone, I do own Barbers. Don't get me wrong. I love Barber. Very proud of, that being a heritage brand for the rest of the world. But they have followed the money, and that's absolutely understandable. And performance isn't their game anymore, which is fine. We are happy to take their place in the performance world, but they're still a stunning coat, stunning company, and obviously as a clothing brand, I look up to them, and I want to follow their footsteps in terms of the heritage and in terms of the ethos they had in 1970s. To create a brand that it was relatable, customer services were through the roof. We will fix your coat, don't worry about it. I will patch this. It looks better when it's older. Blah blah blah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wants to be, and making in Britain is a real big thing for me as well. I want to bring back industry. I want to support British jobs. I want to teach people about supporting a brand that we can project to the rest of the world, just like Patagonia's of the world. They're very much this country's brand, and Fjallraven is very much Norway's brand, and you've got all these brands that are fantastic. They represent their country. So I want to represent us as a British brand, and Fortis very much is flying that flag.
So one thing I've noticed, and I think most probably people that have been to the shows and things like that, is you come onto the stand, there's lots of garments, but most of the time they are all samples, because you do a sort of a design and build straight away for any customer that comes on.
Yeah, exactly. So what we do, we're like a blueprint to every show, really. So we go to the show and we have loads and loads of garments in different styles and different colors and different sizes. This person comes on and says, I'm after a jacket and it needs to do this, this, and this. We take them to the coat. They try on the size. They choose the color. If alterations need to be made, longer sleeves, shorter sleeves, longer body, whatever, that can be made. If not, fine. We're still going to make that size. So they've chosen, say, a jackal jacket, size small, coyote color. Great, we'll make that. It's going to take up to 8 weeks and we'll get it delivered. That way, that model allows us to take, say, for argument's sake, 50 orders over a 2-day period. And we've got to make those 50 products in an 8-week period. So it's like a contract, like we would do with the military or with the police or with any other program or shop and things. We have a contract and we're going to try and make as many products as we can in an 8-week period. Next week there's another contract that has that extra week on top of that, and it keeps going with that 8-week period. Of course we aim for having stock, and as we get bigger we will aim to have stock, because most people, and I mean most, I mean there's like 90 percentile, just are happy with the sizes, and they're happy with size medium, and they're happy with that. But there is also the argument that how many items can you make as a small British brand, which we are. You can't just make all these products that we offer in a massive amount of stock. If you talk about trousers alone, every waist, we're unique in the sense that we can do any waterproof trouser that we make in any waist, and I mean any waist, and any inside leg. There isn't, and you name me one other brand that can do that. No one can.
No, exactly. You're kind of almost back to the custom, like when up here in Scotland, it's the custom tweed. You go into the shop, you're measured, everything about you is taken, and your breeks are made to fit you. So you're kind of offering customers that, whereas most of the other manufacturers out there are banging out X number of 38s or 36s in a long leg and a short leg, and all of a sudden they have stock that you see it because it comes up, doesn't it? It's like end of line sale, and they're just booting stuff out the door as cheap as possible just to get rid of stock to recoup their losses in many ways.
Yeah, that is another, like, a really good argument for it as well. Like, we know that we need to stock in certain sizes and certain products because we know they just sell every summer. You go to the shows and you're like, right, okay, we know that you need to. We got that many mediums in the field jacket. We got to make them.
Yeah,
absolutely. But we're not made of money. We're a small brand, and that takes huge leverage to get there. But as we grow, we'll aim to do that. And the thing is, we are getting more popular. We are getting bigger. We practice what we preach. We protect our customer services in terms of, the customer. I will, for anyone listening to this, the customer isn't always right. That is not a ploy. And anyone that knows me knows that I will be fair with them if they're fair with me. And we probably we'll be up there with some of the lesser complaints that you'll ever see from any company, I reckon. You just don't get them. You just get I've had this wrong size, whatever, these kind of problems. We fix them quicker than you can say Quidditch. Like, we want to make sure that the customer you have now is as important, if not more important, than the customer you might have in a week's time.
No, 100%.
Look after them. Yeah. You'll find the customers through your current customers.
Well, we've noticed it on the hill. We've had a lot of clients up, and they've got Fortis jackets, or they've got a pair of Fortis boots, or something like that, and that's it. They're very happy with the product. There's never a complaint about it. So you're obviously doing something right to find out that people, once they've got it, they come back for more, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And actually, I get a huge amount of credit from people at shows and online and stuff like this. But my gosh, the credit is not deserving of me. My team are phenomenal. And that's probably one of the most proud things I would say as a business owner, is that we've built a team that is just like awesome. And, coming to the shop or going around the factory, we took people around the factory and showed them, the team are just epic. And it's a great place to go and work. And you sit there and you're like, this, it's a happy feel. Atmosphere is always good, but also they're just enthusiastic because they know there's a good future in it, and we know that we're building something special, which for me that's your everyday kind of motivation.
So let's play devil's advocate here. Where in the market do you, obviously, as you were saying, you've got all the hunting brands out there. You've got the Seal and Hakila, you've got Barber, I don't know, there's hundreds of brands out there.
There's loads of them.
Exactly. Everybody's striving for the same thing. Some have turned more towards the fashion, but where exactly in the marketplace do you reckon you are sitting?
So we've got five kind of industries, collections, if you like,
Okay.
which actually we're building a collection to kind of, a website to fit in and show people what we do. So, for example, hunting. So I would call that country wear. That is country wear because, most people on here that are going to listen to this aren't going to be against hunting, but like it or not, that is the fabric of the United Kingdom's and the rest of the world, actually, it's greater planet. Hunting is the fabric of it. And you and I will agree on everything pretty much in terms of that world, because we love it, we live it, and it's a part of our lives. And I'll argue that until the cows come home. But there is obviously different industries there. So we've got country wear because that is the countryside. We've got workwear. So a lot of people don't know that we'll do roadways. High-vis, waterproofs and stuff like that. But they're obviously high-performance waterproofs. In tree surgery and stuff like this. Got skiing. So a lot of people don't know that we do very particular ski, which you'll see more of later this year, actually, hopefully, because we feel guilty that we're not doing that justice. Then you've got like a generic hiking, we call it, or generic, outdoors, where we do have like your leggings and your sweat tops and, these kind of everyday product. And then the forces. So the military and police and guys that we're doing ambulance services and stuff like this, we don't make enough of it on our website. And yes, it's very much country based, and we need to kind of just spread it and show people, if they're not interested in hunting or shooting or fishing and things, they don't want to go into that, then click into workwear or click into whatever it is they want.
Do you think though you'll have obviously there are some other brands out there that were bought up by like the climbing brands and things like that, which have a community that are very against what we do. Do you think that could have a negative effect on your business if you're going to try and punt out to like the countryside folk that might not want to do the hunting, but they're going to be like, well, I'm not going to buy that brand because they support hunting or they support the forces or something along those lines? Do you think that might have a negative effect?
If I was in a pub, my wife will tell you, and everyone I know will tell you, I am happy to have a disagreement. But that doesn't mean we're going to have an argument. We can have a debate about it. We don't have to fall out over it. We can just have that conversation and that debate. I think that's absolutely imperative to our society, is a good debate. And if someone doesn't like that we support shooting, for example, I'll give the reasons why I do. And if they choose to accept those, great. If they don't, cool. That's your decision. I'll move on and carry on. And there is enough people, and there's a reason why our world is growing and in a positive light. There's loads of negativity caused, but we're the best industry in the world to actually let ourselves down in terms of making negative stories take precedence. If you looked at the positive stories, I mean, it would be outstanding. But that doesn't drive conversation. But the main thing, I think, if there was anyone to look negatively at it, we'd just give our reasons why. And especially being a British brand, our core belief is making something that is going to keep you dry, warm, enjoy, and things like this. Whether we support and send it to a field, for shooting a stag, or sending it to a vegan walking up on the hill for a walk, a nice day's, no one cares that you're doing either or. They're making you happy and we're keeping you dry. That's our job, and we're supporting all senses of it, and that's what reason for me I would always say is like, what's the point in us being put into a bracket as such? We are a manufacturer of clothing that wants to keep you dry. We support these things. We're not gonna ever kind of win everyone over, and I don't want to. Don't bother. Waste the time.
No, good. I know, and I completely agree. You just see it more and more that somebody will get a bee in their bonnet and then they'll run with it for a bit, but they kind of get forgotten about. So that's kind of, hopefully you're not going to have that issue.
Yeah, I mean, so I have another brand which people will see at the shows as well, which is called Massey Birch, which is a tweed side of the business.
Yep.
And that's made to measure suits, breeks, all of these kind of things. We introduced that a few years ago because we noticed there was a good need for us to start making suits as well, because obviously we had skills and things that we could do here at the factory. So we did that. But online, amazing comments. And, your TikToks of the world, they find these guys. And these guys and girls will just drop in comments that are just so funny. And you just think, I honestly, the girls laugh. I mean, I could show you a video that I had to leave this guy left us a voicemail, and he was like, "Who's ever in charge of your social media, he needs sacking. He is something like he's a dickhead. He's this and that." And I was like, "This is amazing." It's like made my day, made my year.
Fantastic.
But these kind of people that drop in the comments and things that they think that's okay for them to absolutely attack, a clothing brand that's making for the shooting community, which, is hilarious. And they are usually really uninformed. It's really ignorant. And we absolutely just kill them with kindness, and just kill them with fact as well.
Yep.
Some of the guys recently have seen, one of the comments I put up was just really informative about statistics, about what the community does and the wider community benefits for having a shoot, and things like this. That got hundreds of likes, and this guy just lost the plot. And instead, I just said, well, here's this and here's this. Just go to this and get involved. This is a basis that the social and economic benefits. You need to get involved and blah blah blah. And this guy in the end just said, "You make some great points, and I love how you made this argument." I was like, great. Just turned over a guy that absolutely abused us to ending with him celebrating us. I was like, awesome.
Exactly. You've done exactly what you needed to do. So absolutely fantastic. Yeah. So you kind of dragged me off my train of thought. I had something to ask you then. Sorry. No, it's fine. But that does cover the social media things, to be honest. It's one of those questions I would have brought up because it's a feast or famine, and obviously we see you've got posts going out all the time. You've got some great ambassadors out there that are wearing the kit, especially obviously the Massey Birch tweed. We've seen a lot of that coming up. You've done a few photo shoots and stuff like that, so and I'm assuming that's working well.
It's been brilliant actually, and I think tweed suits actually again, that is an amazing, and I think I've spoken to Basque and I think I'll speak to loads of our representative groups, gamekeepers, or and things like this that are representing us in the wider world, the wider space of governments and everything like this. Tweed is a really weird, and it's just this fashion side of it. It's a really weird glue between the shooting hunting community and the vegans, the people that detest them. We're like the glue. That we are at the top of London Fashion Week, the top of Paris Fashion Week, the top of Milan Fashion Week, most sustainable cloth on earth, they call us. And we're a British tweed, made in Scotland, Northern England, these beautiful mills, traditional, and it is made for gamekeepers and stalking community, and awesome. I'm like, well, hold on, guys. We can make a little bit of a noise here through the fashion world and start to kind of educate the people that don't know, not the people that hate it, the people that don't know. Because the uninformed, are the people that actually you kind of want to win over a bit. And we're guys, back these videos and back these kind of ideas or these photo shoots to kind of help us all glue them together. All of the societies, BAS, GWCT, everyone like that, you should be all wearing tweed. And I will disagree. You should not be walking around in a polyester gilet. You'll never get me to agree that is the best way to. Okay, it's branding. Okay, make your own tweed, brand yourself, just like an estate tweed, a family tweed, family tartans. That's a branding.
100%. I agree with you. Yeah, totally.
And okay, it costs a bit more. But the industry disappearing costs you a lot more, doesn't it? So why don't we support our industry, support our farmers? That wool is coming from our farmers, so why don't support them? They're the ones that rent the lands.
Interesting, because I just had a post recently up on socials regarding foxes and deerskins, And it covers the same thing. Once upon a time, the fur industry was massive. Everybody would happily have fur. And somebody actually commented about leather. You could go into London, there'll be people walking around in leather jackets and stuff like that, but nobody questions them. But you turned up in a coat topped with a bit of fox or a mink skin on it, God, there'd be an absolute uproar. Yet at the end of the day, as long as it's not been farmed, for example, it's come from a sustainable source. So we've got magic sources of deer hides. Deer leather's fantastic. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of foxes shot. Why can't those furs be used? It's a natural product.
I absolutely agree. I always say, I will always go on about this actually. The byproduct of this country is incredible. Fox skins, you can shoot the amount of people I know in my valley that shoot the foxes here. And if you could process them, what beautiful coats they'd make and beautiful little ornaments and different things that that is a byproduct. We're not having to do or use any energy to create that, all these things. It's an amazing, beautiful, source of material. Why couldn't we do something with it? Deer skins. Well, bloody hell. If anyone's come across deerskin before in terms of, as a leather product, it's soft, it's lovely. Deerskin gloves, I've got a pair and they're amazing.
Yeah.
Why on earth do we not have more of those? And things like this, mink skins and things like this, as long as you are it's sensible, ethical, it has a traceability about it, come on. Like, you have to be an absolute muppet to not agree that, it's a byproduct.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the thing. And at the moment, we've got shepherds out there that are shearing sheep, sacks of wool, and they can't do anything with it. And that's the criminal part, I think. And we're all moaning about saving the planet. It's like, well, there you go. We've got product out there. A mill needs to be fired back up, and cloth needs to be made, or something needs to be made from it.
Do you know what? I would love to, not that I have time, but I'd love to campaign against the way we're processing wool in the UK. The wool board, I get it. Wool board can't do huge amounts because they need funding to create more of a easy process of processing, cleaning the wool, dyeing it and making it into a product. Well, if we looked at government and said, government, can you please build us, I get it, it's going to take some money. Build us a processing plant for the wool in the United Kingdom, process it, protect it, use it as a brilliant part of the UK's export market, and I'll bet you they'll make their money back pretty bloody sharpish.
Oh, I would agree with you, but the problem is but most of the people that we'd want to sell this product to will go to, like, I don't know, let's say Primark and buy a 50p fleece, and that's what we're up against. They'd rather do that than but they'll be the ones jumping on the bandwagon, standing on a march, going, got to save the planet, the cows need to go, and you're just like, you don't understand at all.
And I think though also with those people, there's two things with them. They're the loudest by a mile, but they're certainly not the most. They're not a majority, because I thoroughly believe they're not a majority, because things would have changed by now. They're not a majority, but they do shout the loudest. And also, like, a big thing I think with those guys is that they're not wanting to learn. Those ones that go and actually take the time to go on a march, say, or campaign in Plymouth, or I saw someone in Plymouth the other week, and my wife had to run away because I wanted to go talk to them. Absolutely, they're not wanting to learn. They don't care about your answer. Like, no matter the facts, no matter what you can show them, they're not wanting to learn. And actually, those people, would you want to know them anyway?
No, exactly. You're absolutely right. But maybe it's an education thing, and maybe this is where we need to focus on the next generation coming up through this, which is social media is showing that we get lots of younger people starting to look for it, and hopefully they can come away, and these educational posts might spark interest and possibly start changing things.
Yeah, I think social media is amazing, and we're getting a massive reception from social media in a positive light. Mainly, I think there's a lot to be said for us being cheeky on comments and stuff, and a bit of banter back and forth. Like, you can see, like, how much presidents like Morrison's and Tesco's get when they do cheeky comments to people, or lines, and that M&S, the Caterpillar, go back and forth with Lidl or whatever. That was hilarious, but it got huge amount of marketing, and we do that kind of concept, obviously on a lot smaller scale. But it also is worth like people just being reasonable and being people. We're selling a coat that we know is good. It has 30 years of brilliant heritage of people trying, using, and loving. And we're like, well, okay, we know this coat's great. Is it going to suit you for the job you need? We'll show you different versions of the coat that you might want. If they're going to go to the Maldives, they're not going to want a waterproof coat. So I'm not going to sell them a waterproof coat. I'm going to sell them a pair of swim shorts. But there's horses for courses, and so we do that. And the social media base of that, actually, we are starting to paint a nice picture where we're actually be able to translate our shows and our conversations to the online, without removing shows, of course, because we love them and they're important to us.
Absolutely.
But there is definitely a social media base that's, I don't know if I can say a better place, because it's not better place, but there is a way of like leveling it up for yourself to make sure that it's a better place.
Yeah, I think the in-person, which you do at the shows, is really important, because that always has been when it came to clothes. It's that moment that the customer feels like they're the most important person in the world, getting that time with you, taking measurements, asking questions, and all the rest of it. That's something that you don't feel if you were ordering something and you just ordered it online or over an email. You don't have that same interpersonal experience. That's why you went to the tailor.
Absolutely, and actually you can't replace it. And one thing we would always say as well, I think loads of people do shows, but they won't take into account how important shows are for product feedback. Is your sizing correct? Are you doing the right thing? Are people liking it? We're seeing, you go to a show and in June, July, August, we'll see 500,000-600,000 people, if you accumulate all those shows. And the amount of people that walk through your tent is easily around that number. So you're getting people, I'm not saying all of those people are trying on coats, but they're seeing coats, and you get to see if they stop and like it. No, maybe not. You speak to them, see if they like the reception of what we do and how we do it and our concept. So you're learning every single day you're at a show. Whereas if you're behind a computer screen, you're not learning that. You're not learning that the sizing and the fabrics and the colors and the styles that you're doing are working. So we're able to adapt. Like I always say to someone, they come in and they'll go, I'm looking for a shooting coat. And I go, follow me. This is the Forrester coat. If you can find me a better shooting coat, I'll eat my hat and yours if they're wearing one. I'm always wearing one. And they'll laugh and blah, blah, blah. And I say, well, the reason why is that if I saw someone make a coat that I truly believed was better, we make in Great Britain, we'd adapt and change our coat tonight and we'll have it out tomorrow, because we can make one, we can make 2 or 3. We don't have to go to China and make 500.
The Outdoor Gibbon podcast is proudly sponsored by the Shooting and Hunting Academy. Through the Academy, shooters, hunters, and those involved in the use of firearms can gain an in-depth and unique level of training that enables them to shoot better, behave more effectively in the field, up their strike rates, as well as learning new skills. Crucially, those new to deer stalking, the Academy also offers the Proficient Deer Stalker Certificate Level 1, the PDS1, a deer management certificate that is nationally recognised and accredited both by LANTRA and UK Rural Skills. Visit the Shooting and Hunting Academy to find out more. Let's get back to the show. Do you struggle there with sort of when you say that? Because obviously custom clothing normally has a price tag attached to it. Now, does that have an effect on people? They'll come in and they'll go, I'm not paying that for a coat, but they'll walk next door and potentially buy a new rifle or a shotgun or a thermal. That's 10 times the price. But they look at the coat and they go, I'm not going to pay that for it because I can buy one from down the road for £100.
Yeah, that's true, and that is like an onward battle, and I think actually it is an onward battle. But last year and the year before, we have definitely seen a change in attitude to one, obviously British made, that helps every time, because people are being very, I want to support home and things like this, but they also are looking at quality and like, how long is that going to last me? If that £400 coat is going to last me 4 years, I spend £100 every year, fine. But it's going to last me 8 years, it's £50 a year or whatever. And I've got a trusty coat that I can get replenished as well. Like, I can look after, I can maintain it, I can do things. But also, is that £100 coat, you say, it costs, for example, I go out there and it keeps me dry for 30 minutes versus a coat that's £400 that will keep me dry for 24 hours, all day long, then I know which one I'd pick. But it is a choice and it is a budget, and I get that. And there is options that we've supplied with people, and we've given people the pay X amount now and another bit later, those kind of options. There's Klarna online, there's all these kind of things to help mitigate that. But what we've seen with massive international stage issues with canals, getting blocked up and things like this, and war and different bits, container prices have got a lot more expensive. So I'm seeing Chinese products go up and up and up, and you're seeing, the cheaper products not look so cheap compared to us. We've got a field jacket we sell every day of the week, and which epic in terms of sales, and people love it. It's got a nice long back, and it's just an all-round winner, and it's £325. And anyone at that kind of level of waterproofing, it starts at 20,000 with a ripstop on top, so it's nearly 25,000 hydrostatic head with a 20,000 millimeter breathability. So it's top performing coat, and it will keep you dry all day long, and it's a nice looking coat as well. Well, its next competitor, for those qualities would be in your £500-600 marks.
Yeah.
Then you got your Chinese guys at like 10,000 millimeters, maybe one or two at 15,000. There's only about 60 quid difference.
Yeah.
So I'd say bloody fair pricing.
No, that's what people, I think, once you now explain it and people can see that, that's the thing. But I think a lot of people do that. They walk past and they just look in and look at the price tag and they carry on but they don't understand the reasoning behind it and getting the story out there, which I think you're doing really well. And always at every show, the stand is always, it's very open, it's very smart, it's clean and tidy. People feel welcome to come onto it, which is brilliant, because you go to some of them and my God, there's more clothes sticking out the stand than there's space to get on it.
I've got a few friends that do it like that, and I always give them a bit of stick. I'm like, you can't do it like a market stall like this where people can't get through and they're getting frustrated. One, usually the shows are in heat, so it's usually warm and you're getting peed off because it's stuffy and uncomfortable and things like this, and you're on top of each other. And then if you look in, it's really stuffed. Loads of people don't want to go in, but they might want to go in, but they're not going to because of that number of people in there. And so I've also had the reverse where people say, I can't believe it. It's like, you've got so much space, you're wasting all the space, it's paying for all the space. And I always say to them, if you're going to sell a high-end product, like we are, you need space and time to look at the product, enjoy the product. You don't want people on top of you. You don't want someone ramming it down your throat. For example, our team will never, ever push a sale. We are not going to push that car salesman technique of like, keep going. If they want it, they'll tell you. But all we'll do is provide them with all the information about the product, get the sizing. We've got these outrageously big cards at the front of our stand, and we'll write down the product name, the size, the color they had, and everything, and the price here at the show. And they said, you can walk away, have a think about it. If you do want to come back and order it, it's 8-week wait. We'll write it down. We'll take the payment and give you a receipt. If you don't want to do that, you can just call us up at another time, keep that hold of that card, take a picture of that card if you ever do want to order, and you'll keep that discount. And then they've got that. If that's not the case, more likely than not, we're going to get that order if they actually want it, and you can kind of tell if they do. But I always said to everyone, treat every single person like that is the king. And as long as you do that, you're never going to go wrong. And I had that with the Duke, and, he was dressed like shit, and absolutely, you would think, you're about to give him some lunch money type thing. And I treated him as I would anyone else. And he's probably my best customer.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's it. You can never judge the book by its cover, because the people that come on your stand, they could be as wealthy as anything, but wearing the holy pair of shoes and pair of jeans, and you have no
Yeah.
idea.
And actually, if you go to these shows, and I would, you know, I would always recommend it to go to these game fairs and things. The eclectic mix of human being is epic. Wow, you meet some characters, and I would genuinely say I enjoy meeting these people, and they are great fun. And I would always say, if you're at a loss of what to do one weekend, go do them, because they are great fun. If you're not interested in buying anything, it doesn't matter. Go and enjoy it. Like I, I would err on the side of caution with the food and drink side. Any way that you look at that, that is expensive. You get it. They've got to pay for their pitches. If you're prepared to take that on the head, absolutely. Pack lunches, yeah, absolutely, also understandable. But they are great fun, and they're for if they're nothing else, they'll be a good day out.
Is there okay? So now you've just mentioned shows. Is there one particular show that you enjoy going to?
Um, so I might rile some people up now. They're going to absolutely kill me.
Exactly. No, go for it.
For a personal point of view, I would say the Scottish Game Fair.
Well
So
done.
I'm going to say that, and I mean, there's going to be some show people here, and they're going to kill me. To the show people, I love you all. They're all great, and actually, there's not one I actually detest. I like them all, but the reason why the Scottish Game Fair, it is the show that I first went to with my dad. Enjoyed on the river there. We had a lovely weekend. Did really, really well, and it was a nice place. But also, I felt very welcomed there into a new business, a new career as such. And I thought, well, I hold Scotland very dear to me as well. But the Scottish Game Fair is also just a lovely atmosphere as a show.
Yeah,
And I
it
think,
still has that family. It almost feels still very family orientated, especially because
yeah,
all the keepers are there on like the Friday, and it's a very, well, compared to some of the others, which, like, I came down to the English Game Fair and it just felt overwhelming. It was so big.
yeah. I mean, the English Game Fair, for us as a business, is the best show in the calendar, and it is epic. I love it, and for me, it is an awesome event. Like, great to have it, and it's a celebration in our calendar for the whole country. And but I wouldn't put that in now. I'm not putting it in a show space anymore. I would put that as an event in the calendar, a date in the calendar, like you would anything, a bank holiday. It is, that's
Yeah.
what it is now. And commercially, brilliant, but also for the industry, shooting, fishing, hunting, all of the country life. Absolutely imperative now for the industry to support and protect it.
Yeah, yeah, and you see the difference though, because Scotland, obviously the hunting, fishing, and the whole rural environment is still very much ingrained in pretty much everybody that lives out of the cities, for example. But it's one of those things, as you go into England, it's massive minority really. So yeah, as you say, it's important that show still carries on.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, you say minority. I'm from the West Country, and you never feel like a minority at all. The amount of rural community here is bloody strong. And actually, it's almost. I'd walk it, and I do constantly, and I make a point of it. I'll walk through the middle of the city of Exeter in my tweeds, full, and yeah, you get some odd looks, but actually I'm not usually alone, and
No.
it's not, and that's quite commonplace actually. I got on a train with some ducks from Crewcan, and it was just coming, it's 15 minutes, and and the ticket chap said to me, and he just said, "I had a good day, did you?" and blah blah and things, and he goes, "There's another four of you on the train," and they weren't from the same shoots,
Right.
and none of them were together. So that
Fantastic.
all these, so it's one of those things, and I think it's just where you look, and if you feel nervous about that industry and stuff, then definitely, you shoot or you hunt or fish and things. If you're nervous about it, just go and read all the positivity about it, and actually you'd be proud of it. And I am very proud of it.
I think it's becoming more and more people are willing to talk about it. Once upon a time, I think that a lot of people, they wouldn't go on the train, they'd get changed or they'd do something. I'm happy to wander about in tweed, but then that's just the way it is up here. You'll go into Tesco, nobody bats an eyelid. But I think as there was a number of years where people wouldn't. They were more concerned about mentioning that they were into shooting and things like that, just because they were worried of the repercussions, I think. And I think with social media now, people are starting to lighten up on that and are a bit more confident about it.
Yeah, I mean, I make a point with my dogs. Like, loads of people always say, "Oh, your dogs are lovely. They're really cute." They're 3 red Cocker Spaniels, and they all look the same age. 2 are puppies and 1's a mum. And they are beautiful dogs. Obviously, I'm biased, but they are beautiful dogs, and we get a lot of attention, my wife and I, with those dogs wherever we go. Down to Lyme Regis, our local village here, and we'll walk the dogs, and loads of people will stop us. And I will make a point to say they are working dogs and talk about they pick up pheasants, because a lot of people ask what's a working dog, and we say pick up pheasants and partridge. We work them, and they're fantastic for that. And they're always so interested by the by the idea of it. I went to McDonald's the other day. I'd just come back from rugby training, and the girl goes, "Your car needs a clean." I said, "Well, there's no point. It's the shooting season. I'll wait until it's finished and I'll get it cleaned." And she just went, "Oh, right." So I just thought, it's better to say it and reiterate it like it's the norm, than you don't want it to become the unnormal. That would then be the scary point. And I think wherever it is, okay, there is loads of places that things aren't going to be normal, but that's like everything. So it doesn't matter.
Absolutely. So let's take a full reverse now and go back to the actual garments, because there's some technical stuff we need to talk about. Obviously everybody talks about waterproof, like you mentioned it earlier on, but let's go back and actually look at the waterproof stuff that you use. Is it Gore-Tex, or do you have a particular different product that you use in there?
So we built our own,
okay.
And we branded our own. So Fortis, I know, so original. And the idea, like, if anyone ever asks about like waterproofing and the idea, Gore-Tex is a company. Gore-Tex is not science. Gore-Tex is a concept that they've done very well. Really impressed around the world. Amazing that they sell a product, like selling a shoe. That it is a product that's being sold. And they've come up with a brilliant way of articulating a concept of waterproofing with the breathability and the waterproofing and the garment itself and the whole layering system. And it's great. It's fantastic. And they set the precedents for the rest of the world. They are the bar. And I get that. But there also is massive inconsistency with Gore-Tex, because you can make Gore-Tex and get a Gore-Tex license around the world. So whoever is doing it, laminating it and making it, are subject to the performance of that Gore-Tex. It doesn't necessarily mean that Gore-Tex is overlooking that and saying, they've done a license and they're making it. Okay, fine. They're a Gore-Tex maker and blah, 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 and all these things. But so ours is very much, we make ours. We've made our design. We've made our concept. And ours is a little bit different. We're a drop liner system. So a ripstop on the outside, drop liner waterproofing underneath. And breathability wise, we're 20,000 millimeters was, max, we get up to is 25,000 on some of our kind of high level running products and stuff. But exactly the same kind of concept as Gore-Tex, but we have an extra layer, which some people say it can affect a bit of the breathability. Absolutely. To a very little degree that actually doesn't really make that much of a concept. Okay. If you're going to go running up a hill with 250 cartridges on your shoulder and you say, I got really hot in my jacket, well, I say, well, take off your jacket, take off your trousers and run up there with just your shorts on, you're going to get hot. Exactly. Because it's an activity, there's a level of breathability that becomes actually important, and where it allows your body to breathe and regulate, it does. But if you're going to highly exert yourself, you go from sitting still and watching a stag to shooting it and then dragging it, totally different ball game.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so our technology is very much based on, well, pit zips and vents in your trousers and stuff like this, dumping heat is really important if you need that. And some people, like myself, I don't have my thermometer in my body is broken. If I run for 10 seconds, I'm hot. I play rugby in shorts all through the winter. I'm absolutely fine in shorts and stuff. But then if I sit still, I get cold really quick. So it's a bit of a nightmare. So you've got to regulate that, and you've got to work out the garment for you and work out, what's best for you. And that just takes a bit of time.
I suppose that's one of the things, though, with everything. People expect there to be the wonder garment at the end of the day, but actually most hunting gear, or you look at any mountaineer or climber from that goes in extreme conditions, it's all down to layering. And if you don't get your layering right, it doesn't matter what you've got on the top. You could still be cold. You could still be too hot.
Exactly. You've got to get the layering right for the situation you're in, the climate you're in, and it's all got to be it's a concept game. There is not one jacket for everything you can do. And it just isn't true, and it never will be, and I hope it never is, because there's no, that would just be very boring and everyone look the same. And
well, you'd only ever sell one jacket, and you kind of need them to buy multiple products at the end of the day. Yeah,
that's true. That is very true. I actually wasn't thinking that, but yeah, that's absolutely so true. But I mean, we get a lot of things that people say online and stuff. They're like, they're so good. I didn't need another one. I still got it and stuff like this. But I always say there's enough friends of yours and people to recommend us. And there's only so far and so many coats you want to make in a year anyway.
So the next big question is one of those ones that most people, they'll buy some waterproof equipment or clothing or something like that. They'll use it, they'll abuse it, it'll get dirty. And then you have the conversation with them that they go, it leaks. But then you ask them, have they ever reproofed it? Is that something that you guys have anything to help people with?
Yes, so absolutely. So we have a reproofing service. We have all these things. But also we got to get we have, and you'll see it on our new website when that comes out later this summer. We're going to very much do a warranty page, but like we do now. But we've created a company promise.
Okay.
And that company promise kind of negates most warranties, whereas, we want a people interaction. If you feel like you've got bang for your buck, you're not really going to be complaining. If you feel like, and don't get me wrong, there is some absolute muppets out there that will completely, take the piss. And I get it. And I've seen it before years ago with a guy, Midland Game Fair, ripped his trousers. He's had them 4 years, loved them, said he keeps them dry, but I've ripped my trousers. I've said, absolutely, we'll fix those up for you free of charge and we'll get them sent back out to you. He says, no, I believe I should have a new pair. And I said, well, why? He goes, well, I ripped it the first day I had them. I said, well, why didn't you get hold of us 4 years ago? And yeah, it's those kind of, there's always going to be those guys. But, the company promise will be very much like, we are here to, make sure this product goes on. And if it fails in a time that you feel like that's not good enough, let us know. We'll have a conversation with you. Let's not for example, you don't want the computer says no. Yeah. No one wants that industry, and no one wants that. I think that's just backbreaking to think that the computer will rule the rest of the world. I think humanity needs to come into that product, kind of interaction with the customer and the service and things like this. And how many people are you going to have that many interactions with? Really, not that many.
No, and I think that's the key. If people don't want to, a company can only develop a product if people feed information back. And hopefully people come back to you and say, oh yeah, I wouldn't have had the zip there, or this doesn't work, or something like that. And from that you can actually develop it. But I think a lot of people go out there, they'll buy something. Let's not just your product, but any product. They'll buy it. It doesn't work for them. They don't say anything about it. But the next time somebody says, oh, this is rubbish, they join the social media brigade going, yeah, it's crap. And it's just like, well, what's wrong with it? Why didn't you explain this to the manufacturer? Because they would have changed it probably.
Yeah, I think if someone has a problem, we just address it. We literally address it and say, what's happened? There hasn't been an instance where we haven't been able to get a product back and either repair or replace or something like that to make sure that a customer ends up being happy about it. There's always going to be in manufacturing, there's always going to be an error. If you could get, I'd be a billionaire, absolute billionaire, if you could promise that there wouldn't be a fault. There's just no way. It just doesn't happen. But it's how you treat when something goes wrong. It's how you then react to it and how you treat that customer and how you treat the interaction. And, first of all, they've given their money to you. So you now need to be bloody, like anything, isn't it? As soon as money's passed hands, you need to be good as gold and be professional about, what's happened. And if that person's being fair to you and everything like this, you're going to be fair to them. It's not rocket science. I don't think. I think it's just you being decent.
100%, 100%. So let's sort of come to the last stage now. Where's Fortis going? What's the plans for this year, let's say?
So we've got a massive year ahead. Loads of shows. We're going for it hard this year, much to my wife's dismay. So I won't be at all of them like I usually am, because we're expecting a baby in June. So we
congratulations.
Having to. She says you have to take a break, so I'll have to take a break. So we will do that. But then obviously we want to get in front of as many people as we can. There's a lot of new product as well that we, again, only build through customers' recommendations and development through seeing these people at shows and people abusing them and all these products. So, which is great. And so we're launching products that we've listened to people, and you'll clearly see that on our social media pages. We will show where people have recommended these products and here's the answer type thing. And so we've got a big year. Website is a big thing. I touched on it earlier. We want rating at the moment just to paint a better picture for what we do. And, bigger and better than ever, I hope, of course, and continue to do what we're doing. And, I hope we can.
Fantastic. Well, it sounds like you're growing from strength to strength. So every year, there are, as I say, we see more people turn up at the hill in Fortis gear or recommend it, or you start looking on the social media pages and people are commenting, oh, you need to have this and that. So you're obviously doing something right. Back a British brand, and that's all we can really ask for.
Yeah, I hope so. And as long as I do as I say on the tin, and I always say quality never goes out of fashion. So we'll continue to do that.
Well, I suppose that's the main thing as well. There's still one person driving the ship. You haven't sold out to some Chinese company where it's a board of directors and they're all about how much money are we making. At that point, I think that's where most companies, and you can see it, most companies lose their way.
Yeah, they do. And they definitely do. But for me, in my head, I'm about to start a family and things like this. I think the adventure of this company and stuff drives me as much as it did, when I took over. So it's an exciting time, and I'm more motivated than ever.
Fantastic. Well, I think what we'll do is we'll wrap it up there, because I think hopefully everybody now is going to come and visit all these different stalls and stands. You'll get lots more customers. Well, maybe we should do something where they come and they say they've listened to this and they'll get a sticker or something like that. Exactly. But fun. But thank you ever so much for allowing me the opportunity to share your experience of Fortis with the world.
Well, it's a pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
Superb. It's a British brand made in Britain. It was an interesting chat there with Ollie, looking at all the options available, as well as their sort of more technical stuff. They do offer their tweeds as well through the Massey Birch side of things. Remember, they will probably be at the stalking show, so it's worth popping along and having a look. Anyway, this may well be the last recording before the show. If it is, come along and see me, and remember to sign up for that competition. May well try and squeeze one more recording in just before we get to the show, and then once we're there we will have some great content to produce while we're at the stalking show. But remember, come along and say hello, and we'll see you on the day. And for anybody listening that isn't able to make it to the show, we will try and record snippets from the show and be able to bring you a feeling of what the show was actually like, giving you a bit of information, inside chats with different companies, manufacturers, etc. So don't worry, because I do know that we've got listeners from all over the world. You will be able to experience what happened at the stalking show without actually having to be there. Anyway, we'll catch you on the next one.